All right, reading, writing, and Reefer, the governor of Colorado expected to sign a bill, first of its kind, too, that would allow students to have medical marijuana in school. Is this a good idea, or is this an idea whose time has come? Joining us right now to debate it, Don Rerfer. He is the Director of Federal Policies at the Marijuana Policy Project, and Dr. Sharon Levy is the Chair of the Committee on Substance Abuse for the American Academy of Pediatrics. So, Dan, do you think this is a good move?
I do. Frankly, I think it's a no-brainer. It's a little surprising to me that we're even here debating this. You know, medical marijuana is the law of the land in Colorado. It's the law of the land in the vast majority of other states in some form or another. Polls show that most doctors think that medical marijuana ought to be legal and that they would recommend it. A Fox News poll shows that 85% of Americans think it ought to be legal and that, you know, they should have access to it if their doctor recommends it. So, you know, you put yourself in the shoes of those parents. If a doctor tells you, or two doctors, as is required by Colorado law, that your child has a debilitating condition and this treatment, whether it's marijuana or anything else, would help, you're going to stop at nothing to get it. And who are we to tell parents that they have to choose between their child's education and a doctor-recommended treatment for a serious medical condition?
Well, here are the diseases that they say they have limited this to. Autoimmune diseases, inflammation, pain, seizures, mental disorders. Sharon, this bothers you, right?
Yeah, well, the American Academy of Pediatrics opposes using medical marijuana in children simply because marijuana isn't a medication. It's not purified, it's not standardized, we don't know what the dose is. I think many of your viewers may be aware that fungus produces penicillin, but I think parents would be horrified if they went to their pediatrician and were sent home with a piece of moldy bread to treat an infection. It's just not the proper preparation. And the same holds true for marijuana.
Dan, isn't there a legitimate fear of abuse that we saw, for example, where medical marijuana was legalized in California? Next thing you know, people are going in, getting doctor's notes and abusing it.
You know, we're not talking about sending kids into classrooms with joints in their pocket. That's not what this bill would allow. This would treat marijuana just like any other medication. For kids who have serious conditions and whose doctors recommend it, they'd be able to go to their nurse's office. Their parent or caregiver would be able to come in and administer that medicine. And we're talking about medicine that, you know, in Colorado has helped thousands of kids with seizure disorders, cerebral palsy and other conditions that cause seizures and muscle spasticity. I mean, this is shown to work, and the American Academy of Pediatrics even has an exception in their position where they talk about doctors recommending this on a case-by-case basis, weighing the risks and benefits.
And Sharon, we're in an era now where you can't even bring cupcakes in for a kid's party or bring peanut butter in or nuts.
Right. You know, I think that the issue is that the scientific evidence really isn't there to establish that marijuana is effective, and we need to do it because the anecdotal evidence is strong. But you know, some of the biggest barriers that are preventing us now from really doing the proper scientific studies to take a hard look at the active ingredients in marijuana and make proper medications is the speed at which we're pushing this out. And laws like this one are a prime example. We're willing to give out marijuana before we know if it works, how it works, and before we prepare it in a formulation that's appropriate for children.
All right. Dan and Sharon, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see what happens. As usual, when it comes to marijuana, all eyes on Colorado. 10 minutes before the bottom of the hour.